Welcome to the Jean Monnet seminar series organized by the Jean Monnet Chair International Business for European Union, co-founded by the European Plus Erasmus program. Today's seminar is about efficient resource management. A distinguished speaker is Maria Passalacqua, which is the director of the EMAS in Barcelona. Thank you for accepting our invitation, and I leave the floor.
Thank you. Well, good afternoon. Welcome to this year's seminar on efficient resource management. Today, we are start examining environmental sustainability from the business perspective. And we explain why it is important to consider environmental sustainability, specifically taking into account the business perspective. Okay? Then we will try to reflect on how environmental risks, how environmental issues are related to risks and opportunities that are related to the business sector. And finally, we will learn how EMAS, which is the European Union's eco-management and audit scheme, is one of the best tools in order to address these risks and opportunities, and also in order to manage our organization in an efficient way, taking into account all the environmental issues. Okay? So, why we have to talk about environmental sustainability from the business point of view? There are many reasons that forces us to consider why we should have this perspective. First of all, is that we all understand the macroeconomic vision or perspective of environmental sustainability. So this means that it means you and I, as members of a society, we all understand that our society is facing huge environmental challenges. Okay? But individual organizations need to understand how these environmental challenges affect their business, and also they have to understand what to do. Okay, so the first thing is that we have to go from a macroeconomic perspective to business perspective, okay, because we all as a society understand the problem, but at the end, then business, this means entrepreneurs and business managers, they don't know what to do and how to face this challenge, okay? So entrepreneurs and business leaders, they may understand that environmental issues are a key strategic imperative. So they are aware that environmental issues are important for the business. But there's no a unique answer on how to address these challenges within the organization, how to define policies and take action in order to consider environmental issues within the structure and the activities of an organization in different business sectors. Okay? The other reason is short-termism. This means that even if managers and business leaders, they understand that environmental issues are important, on the other hand, we have a problem with our society. And is that in certain cases we are forcing entrepreneurs and also leaders to obtain results in a very short term. And that's a problem, because in our society we are not assessing and we are not valuing short, mid-term and long-term results. Okay? So stakeholders force managers to have return, right, to perform in a short-term basis, and this means that sometimes organizations take action and decide just taking into account the results that they have to deliver in a very short term. And this brings us to another problem. And it's that as we have a lack of a holistic view, Environmental issues or costs related to environmental issues are mostly perceived as a constraint and as an extra cost for doing business. And managers and entrepreneurs do not perceive environmental costs as a benefit, as something that can deliver an opportunity for the company. Then we are still undemanding and quiet consumers. What does it mean? That you and me as consumers, we may be aware or partially aware about environmental issues, but we are not really demanding organizations to perform equally from the economical point of view and also environmental or social aspects. So as consumers, when we are going to the market and we want to buy something, we mostly focus on the price, and we are not really demanding what is behind that price, if there's a value, and we are not asking what company is behind this product or this service. So even if the society is becoming more aware, we still have to do more on this side. Okay. And then we have environmental legislation, which is something that it has a huge presence in our lives, and it also of course has a huge presence in business life, and it influences in an important way the business activity. And this is perceived by entrepreneurs as a headache. Why? Because legislation is a patchwork of administrative procedures and legal acts, and its complexity does not allow the entrepreneur to completely understand the level of conformance of its organization with respect to this legislation and with these procedures. In the majority of cases, the administrative procedures are related to legal requirements. They take a lot of time. It's a time-consuming activity. So it's not easy to deal with it, okay? Or legislation does not adapt to the business sector or to the rhythm of business sector. And another thing is related, or another reason to consider environmental sustainability from the business perspective is that we still have to learn that environmental issues are related both to risks and opportunities. So while it is perfectly understanding and it is a priority to take care of the negative impacts of our activities, products and services, it is also true that we have to learn that environmental issues come with opportunities, with business opportunities. So we have also to learn to interpret, see, understand, and work for these opportunities. Business context is continually evolving. And one thing that entrepreneurs and business managers have always to do is that they have to adapt to this context, to this evolving reality. Otherwise, their activities, their products and services will not be longer required by our society. Okay? And what does it mean taking into account the context of our business? First of all, we have to take into account that we live in a society with enforced legal requirements is a reality. Almost any environmental aspect is currently regulated by European Union's directives or regulations, or by state level or regional local regulations. So there's a law for everything, okay? Social and institutional pressure. So we know that our society is getting more aware about environmental issues, and that means that the market is also choosing certain services or products if compared with others, taking into account also environmental performance of these products and services. We know that if we do act irresponsibly in terms of environmental issues, we could have an image problem. So this will also affect the market, okay? And we also receive institutional pressure because administration at different levels, they want to deal with environmental responsible companies. Okay. Then we have other factors like the increased price of energy and other resources. Okay. This is something I should say transversal to any sector. Energy costs are increasing year by year, and the trend seems that it will continue to increase. So if we are not able to be efficient in the use of this specific resource, this will mean also to increase costs. And of course there are other resources that could increase their price depending on their availability, the complexity behind them in order to extract or to attain to these resources, and also take into account if they are generated in a renewable or not renewable way. So there are many factors that could affect the price of resources, but many of these are related to environmental aspects. Then the reduced availability of resources. Have you ever heard about circular economy? No? Okay, so we have finally understood that resources are limited, and we have been working and doing business for years, taking into account a linear philosophy. Okay, so we have inputs in our process. We use these resources, materials, products in our activity, and then we deliver products and services to the customers, and then we forgot about all the byproducts that and waste that we generate, and also we may forget about the final stage of our products when they will finally become a waste again. Okay? So this means that now we will have to try to think in a circular way. So all these are resources, and we have to be able as entrepreneurs and leader managers to close the loop. Okay? Then we have new markets, needs and expectations. So these are not something that are defined in one moment and veiled forever. So as the market evolves, our society evolves. This also means that the needs and expectations of all our stakeholders, and this means the customers, neighbors, public administrations, NGOs, etc. These needs and expectations are evolving, are changing, and as a company we have to adapt to these needs and expectations. And these also include environmental issues. Then we have business risks, any kind of business risks. And these business risks we will see later that are related also to environmental issues. And even if we analyze economic or financial environmental risks, they can also be linked in a certain way to certain environmental aspects and to environmental trends that we are facing nowadays. Then we can have also new opportunities. Business is an opportunity, and entrepreneurs are always looking for opportunities. That's part of their job, okay? And it should be a skill to be able to see opportunities, and environmental issues and environmental sustainability will also bring opportunities for companies. And another thing is that consider our context and constantly adapt to it will ensure also our survival as a company. Okay, so we have to evolve our activities, products, our services, our thinking, our processes. They always have to adapt to this context. Let's see why we have to consider environmental issues when we talk about risks. And we are going to do it taking into account not just the point of view of an environmentalist, but we are going to see what economic and financial experts worldwide said about environmental issues and the risks that we are facing, okay? So this is the 2016 report on global risk. It is the 11th edition of this report, and it is delivered by the World Economic Forum. So it includes the views and the results of surveys done with experts in different countries. Okay. This report talks about global risks and global trends. Let's see what does this mean. So the first definition is global risks, and it says, global risk is an uncertain event or condition that, if it occurs, can cause significant negative impact for several countries or industries within the next 10 years. Okay? So let's reflect about this definition. First of all, it says that we have to pay attention because it can cause severe damage. So we're not kidding. It says significant negative impact. Okay, so this is an alarm. Secondly, it says that it can affect countries and enterprises. So we're talking about a macroeconomic vision, perspective, but also business perspective. It says, hey, hold on, this is not something that will affect the countries and their economies, but it will affect you as an entrepreneur because it will affect industries, okay, the business sector. And lastly, it says that it will occur in the following 10 years. So we are not talking about far future. It's now. Okay? Then we have global trends. And the report says that the global trend is a long-term pattern that is currently taking place and that could contribute to amplifying global risks and or altering the relationship between them. What does it mean? Firstly, it's not a pop-up situation, okay? It's a long-term pattern. So it's something that we are able to see now, that is consolidated, and that we know that we will have to face, okay? And then it says that it can amplify global risks, those risks that we have referred before, okay? and also it can alter the relationship between them. Okay. So this is the point of view of people working in the economic sector. It's not an environmentalist that is talking about this. This is a video, short video, which explains this report, okay? Just to have a quick view on it and to locate it.
The fourth industrial revolution will bring a level of change humanity has never experienced before. We still don't know to what extent it will affect countries, economies, and people. The Global Risks Report 2016 analyzes the potential impact and likelihood of 29 global risks over the next 10 years. For the first time ever, environmental, geopolitical, societal, and economic all feature among the top 5 most impactful risks. In terms of impact, the top risk is failure of climate change mitigation and adaptation. It is considered to have greater potential damage than weapons of mass destruction, water crisis, large-scale involuntary migration, and severe energy price shock. The likelihood of most risks has grown this year, increasing the magnitude of global challenges for the next decade. Large-scale involuntary migration rose to number 1, followed by extreme weather events, failure of climate change mitigation and adaptation, interstate conflict with regional consequences, and major natural catastrophes. Global risks are interconnected, and that can create unexpected consequences. Profound social instability and unemployment or underemployment feature as the 2 most interconnected risks this year. The report also explores a nexus of risks that have the most potential to threaten global stability. The disempowered citizen looks at how citizens who are empowered by technology also feel disconnected from existing governance structures. The impact of climate change, which together with rising population growth can affect global food security, and the potential of global pandemics to threaten social cohesion. Adaptation and resilience will be crucial to address the upcoming global challenges. Join the conversation to ensure that today's risks don't become tomorrow's realities.
I have selected from the report 2 tables that include the top 5 risks and the top 5 global trends. Okay, let's have a look to it. As you can see, the chart in the last year becomes to start to be drastically stained with the green color, okay, which is the color used in order to define the main global risks in terms of likelihood. Okay, when we assess risks, usually this is not only from the environmental point of view, but also from the economic point of view. When we assess risks, we take into account 2 main factors, okay? Likelihood and the impact or the magnitude of the impact, okay, of the risk that we consider, okay? So this is a table related to risks in terms of likelihood. And as you can see, there are a lot of green boxes in this chart. Okay? If we go to year 2011, we can see that 4 of the top 5 risks were related to environmental issues. So that's a lot. It has a huge relevance in the list of the global risks. And then if we go to 2016, we can find these 3 boxes, extreme weather events, failure of climate change mitigation and adaptation, and then major natural catastrophes. Okay, of course they are related to environmental issues. But we also can see in other parts of the chart that boxes in blue color or also the red one, which is societal, are related to environmental issues. And we can see, for example, in 2007, 8, and 7 and 8, for example, the blue boxes related to oil price, okay, and oil and gas, they are also, even if we're talking about prices, they are related to environmental issues because we are talking about non-renewable resources, okay? And if we go to, we will see another 2 examples in the next table, okay? This one is are the top 5 global risks in terms of impact, okay? Again, we have the same colors, the blue one for the economic, the green one for environmental, then geopolitical is the orange, and red for societal, and purple for technological risks. In 2006, we have 1 green box, which is failure of climate change and mitigation and adaptation. But we also have other 2 boxes which belong to other aspects, but that are related also to environmental issues, which is water crisis and then severe energy price shock. Okay, so these 2 are also related to environmental issues. And we can find in the other years similar situations. Water crisis is also here. And here, this one was in green, and this one is already in red. And let's see, oil price again. Yeah? Okay. When we talk about environmental sustainability, we could define it differently depending on the context and depending also on the subject, okay? We are going to use the following definition. Environmental sustainability is the capacity of the environment to continue indefinitely to provide a healthy place for us to live and work, and the resources necessary to sustain a healthy economy and businesses. Okay, so we're talking about people and also businesses. And then we also have to refer to another definition, which is business sustainability. And we are going to define or to use this definition. Business sustainability is the capacity of a business enterprise to continue to operate successfully. And this means to generate sufficient and appropriate economic activity to meet stakeholders' requirements on an ongoing basis. Okay? And we are going to use both definitions because they are inextricably linked. Okay? So we cannot think just in one without the other one. Okay? We have to learn that as an entrepreneurs or leader or business managers or leaders, we need to have a holistic view, and this means taking into account these 2 definitions and be aware on how they are linked. Okay. As these 2 definitions are inextricably linked, if we learn or if we understand that we have to work or to do business taking into account both of them, this means that if my organization is sustainable from the economical point of view, of if I will do with a holistic view, which is better or which is positive from the economic sustainability point of view of my company, then I will also affect positively the environment. So I will contribute to the environmental sustainability. Okay? Whereas if I'm not sustainable, or like for example, I continue as a company to pollute, or I do not have an efficient use of resources, And if I attain to non-renewable resources, I will contribute to the unsustainability of the environment. And this will finally have an effect on my own economic sustainability and also on my business viability or feasibility. Okay? If we are an organization and we have to manage these sustainability issues, we also have to take into account these risks and opportunities that we talked about before. And not just on the macro perspective, but also in terms of how they affect our business. Okay? And I have included here a list of potential risks that can affect any kind of business, okay? And we will see how they could affect an activity. It could be industrial or service activity. So we could have regulatory compliance or non-compliance. So we saw before that our context is evolving. There's a legislation almost for everything, and we have as a company to ensure this compliance. Okay? If there's a non-compliance, we will have problems with the public administrations. We could be fined, sued, or our business could be also closed by the public administration, depending on the non-conformities. Okay? So this is certainly a risk. Transportation costs. Okay? So if we have to attain to a resource and look for it from a source that is located far away from our organization, this means that the transportation cost could be higher, and depending also on the way that we transport these materials, products, or resources, it could also affect the costs. And transportation companies, they also need resources in order to perform the service. So if they attain for non-renewable resources, this would mean that they will have not only an environmental impact, but also an economic impact that will affect the cost of the service. And finally, this will also affect our organization. Then, business reputation. Okay? Image is important in the market nowadays. And in most of the cases, when a company performs positively, no one knows about it. But if just once you do something wrong, you can be sure that the whole world will know about it. We all know about the new technologies, communication technologies, social networks, whatever. So communication is not just one way, and we know that anyone is able to spread information and to communicate and to provide its own point of view on an organization. So image and communication is important. And if we fail on performing on environmental issues, we may have a problem regarding our business reputation. Then food supply. Food supply could affect business, of course, in the food and beverage sector, but it can also affect tourism sector, and they can affect other sectors that are related to, for example, energy, and that uses food as a resource to provide energy. It can also affect packaging sector, for example. So food supply is a potential risk that is related to an environmental issue. Insurance costs. Okay. We all know that insurance companies, they all want to insure or to provide contracts to good companies, because insurance companies work on risks, and if you are a company that have a higher risk, then you will pay more. And if your risks are not assumable, then you may fail to find a company that could provide you an insurance service or contract to your company. So it's important to reduce the level of risks, because this will also affect the insurance costs. Then disaster preparedness and recovery. We always think about disasters as something that may happen once in our lives, and if it happens, probably will happen to the neighbor, but not to us, okay? And we know already that environmental catastrophes are happening and occurring. We know that this is one of the consequences of the climate change, and we have to learn to adapt to it, to identify all potential disasters and emergency situations that could generate, and we have to be able to respond to them, okay? Because there's no zero risk, and as a company, we have to be prepared and respond to these. And this may also need the to establish and to implement certain emergency action plans and measures in order to mitigate the impacts, or to reduce the likelihood to have one of these disasters or problems in our company. Then we could have also supply chain disruption, because if, for example, one of our providers has a problem regarding environmental issues, for example, no compliance, or even business reputation problem, this could also affect us, or the company, our provider, may close the company partially or totally because of this environmental problem, and this means that we could have problems on our supply chain, for example. Then the decline in crop yields, forest and ocean resources. This is related mainly to climate change and the biodiversity loss, and this of course could affect different sectors: tourism, fisheries, agriculture, certain industries, like for example, if we talk about the paper sector, paper, packaging, or wood sector, they all depend on the forest products, but it could be also pharma sector or the fine chemical sector, because they use substances and active principles that usually become from nature, and the loss of biodiversity means also losing the source. Okay. We could also have another risk related to the availability or non-availability of certain products, substances or materials. Then the natural resource costs, risks related to food, plant, animal, and human diseases. Do you remember SARS some years ago, Ebola, and things like that? So these affect people, and these also affect businesses. Water scarcity, droughts, flooding, desertification, and severe weather. Energy costs and supplies, glacial melt, and commensurate sea level arise. So this means it could affect maritime routes, it could affect tourism, it could affect the availability of certain resources, it could affect availability of land in coastal areas. Okay? Then transportation and infrastructure stability or instability, which could be affected by one or more of the above listed risks. And then permafrost instability, business interruption and continuity, ocean current that could change. So this also it's related to transportation, for example, or to infrastructure. Infrastructure disruptance and maintenance, and so on. So, of course, this is a list of risks that do not apply to all the businesses, but it may apply. So one of the exercises that we are going to do in the seminar is that you will identify risk and opportunities related to environmental issues of certain business activities. So of course all of them do not apply, but we have to learn to have this open vision and consider the wide range of situations that we could face as in the business sector. So we also have to talk about competitiveness. We have talked about the risks. We have talked about the evolving context. And we, of course, have to talk about competitiveness. Because it's another element that is key for the business. And this, as we said, that environmental sustainability is a key strategic imperative for the company. Of course, also competitiveness is a key aspect for a company. And how can competitiveness be influenced? It can be influenced in many ways. We are going to focus on those aspects that are related in a certain way to environmental issues, or that can be related to environmental issues. The first one is improved processes, products, and services. If we are able to continually improve our processes, products, and services, this will be positive from the competitiveness point of view. And also, we can understand that environmental management can provide us tools in order to improve these processes, products, and services. Then we have innovation. Innovation is a key aspect for competitiveness, and eco-innovation is innovation of activities, processes, products, or services from the environmental point of view. Then, of course, it is important to understand and to take into account the needs and expectations of our customers and the market in order to be competitive. And as we said before, we know that the society is evolving and that consumers are more aware nowadays on environmental issues. And to anticipate changes in policies and new regulations, we said before that regulations and legal aspects have a huge presence in our lives and in organizations' lives. So understanding, identifying these policies and these regulations is a key aspect. We have to have access to this information, and if it is possible, we have to anticipate the changes that these new policies and regulations will bring on. And then resources optimizations. When we talk about optimization of resources, it is related to any kind of resources, and this is something companies always have in mind, because is a key aspect that influences also their costs. But sometimes from the environmental point of view, we are not able to, or we do not implement tools or mechanisms that allow us to identify the use of resources, environmental resources, and to continuously monitor and measure the use of these resources. So companies are not always aware of the importance to measure and monitor their environmental performance. And we will see later how this is a key aspect on competitiveness. And then the systematic approach. When we talk about competitiveness, it is not about doing something once in our company's lives or try to do something here and then something there, but it's about a systematic approach. So trying to understand what is the problem and to adapt all the business and define objectives, policies, procedures that allowed us to work and to organize the company, our processes, in order to perform better under all the aspects, including also environmental sustainability. I will show you now another short video from the European Union. This video explains the EMAS, the European Union's Eco-Management and Audit Scheme. Okay?
Hey, you seem to think it's difficult to run a business, stay competitive, and take care of the environment? Well, you're wrong. Thanks to EMAS, you can combine competitiveness with environmental performance, just like many other organizations out there already doing it. Look around you. Those companies that produce or use these cars, planes, or trains are all EMAS registered. They operate internationally and are at the same time improving their environmental performance worldwide. In the transport sector, for example, EMAS-registered organizations have improved their use of resources in the production process considerably. But as you can see, EMAS goes beyond the transport sector. EMAS is also present in the hotel industry, museums, banking, or manufacturing. Let's talk about small and medium-sized organizations like yours. EMAS is easy for you too. Follow me. See, the chocolate you're about to eat is produced by a Belgian EMAS-registered SME. And look around you. Many more SMEs are eager to improve their environmental performance. EMAS-registered SMEs save resources and money. They also cause less pollution, but EMAS also helps them to become legally compliant. Taking a proactive approach to tackling environmental challenges is now the hallmark of any successful organization in today's marketplace. Now, let me explain how it works. EMAS is the worldwide premium environmental management instrument. EMAS can be applied by both public authorities and the private sector, including large companies, SMEs, and even micro-organizations. But, most importantly, EMAS improves your environmental performance and helps you save money. It improves your image thanks to transparent and validated reporting. Your employees are much more engaged and proud to work for your organization. It also helps you reduce the number of incidents and achieve legal compliance with environmental law. EMAS is good for your business, good for the environment, and good for our society as a whole. Join the EMAS community to bridge business opportunities and environmental performance. Discover all EMAS-registered organizations and access their environmental statements online.